You have worked hard, perhaps harder than those who now look down upon you from their palaces. Yet you remain broke, while they grow rich. The problem is not your effort, it is your strategy. You were taught to obey money, while they were taught to command it. In this lesson, we shall uncover the 6 Machiavellian principles that decide who remains a servant of wealth and who becomes its master. In every city, in every age, one question haunts men like a shadow. Why does one man amass wealth while another remains a beggar? It is not chance nor divine favor. It is calculation, discipline, and the ruthless practice of principles that separate the rich from the poor. Today, I, Niccolò Machiavelli, will reveal to you why you stay broke while others rise above you. And if you have the courage to listen, you will learn how to command money as the princes commanded kingdoms. Listen carefully. Here lies the first great division between those who remain poor and those who grow rich. You have been taught since childhood that the path to security is through hard work. You were told to rise early, labor long, obey orders, and collect your wages. Yet, this is the very chain that binds you to mediocrity. The truth is that labor, when it stands alone, will never make you wealthy. It can feed you, it can clothe you, it can pay for your daily bread, but it will never free you. You will always be a servant to the master who pays you, and even worse, a servant to the money you are chasing. The rich man does not labor in the way you think. He does not spend his days trading hours for coins. No, he gives his coins tasks. He commands money as a general commands soldiers. He sends it into businesses, into lands, into ventures, into systems that breed more money. While you sleep exhausted from your toil, his money is awake, multiplying, growing, expanding its dominion. You wake up poorer than the day before because your strength has weakened, your time has been spent, and your master demands more of you tomorrow. He wakes up richer, for the gold he released yesterday has returned with companions. Consider this carefully. The poor man believes money is earned only when his hands are moving. He cannot comprehend wealth without sweat, so he clings to his labor like a drowning man to driftwood. But labor is a cage. There are only so many hours you can sell. There are only so many years your body can endure. The poor exhaust themselves for a lifetime, and at the end, they possess nothing but calloused hands and fading energy. The rich, on the other hand, understand leverage. They know that the true purpose of money is not to be spent in frivolous consumption, but to be employed as a worker itself. Gold, when properly commanded, is the most loyal servant. It does not complain, it does not tire, it does not require sleep or sustenance. It breeds quietly, endlessly, without pause. A single coin in the hands of a wise man becomes 2, 2 become 4, 4 become 10, and in time an empire is built. Now ask yourself, why do you remain broke? Because you confuse consumption with investment. When you receive money, you rush to spend it on comfort, on appearances, on things that shine but do not reproduce. You eat your wealth before it has time to grow. You kill the seed before it has borne fruit. The rich plant their money, and they wait. They may live modestly while their fortune multiplies, but in time, their patience crowns them with abundance. You must understand, the world does not reward labor as much as it rewards ownership. The man who owns the farm eats better than the man who plows it. The man who owns the ship gains more than the sailor who rows. The man who owns the workshop profits more than the craftsman who bends his back within it. Ownership commands labor, and labor obeys ownership. The poor cling to labor, the rich secure ownership. This is the law of wealth, cruel and eternal. Do you see the trap? You were trained to serve. From childhood, you were told to get a good job, to sell your hours, to be dependable, to obey. But this path was never designed to make you wealthy. It was designed to make you useful to the one who truly profits, the one who commands. This is why the rich grow richer. They understood what you did not that money, once possessed, must never be idle. It must be put to work to fight, to conquer, to return with spoils. The poor man thinks, "If only I worked harder, I would be rich." He fails to see that harder work only tightens the chains. The rich man thinks, "If only I made my money work harder, I would be free." And so, while one exhausts himself in servitude, the other buys his freedom with the same coin. Look around you and observe the habits of men. The poor man, when he finally tastes a small measure of wealth, runs to display it. He buys ornaments, fine clothing, a carriage brighter than his neighbor's, jewels that sparkle for a moment and fade with time. He believes that if he can look wealthy, he will be respected as wealthy. But respect does not grow from appearances, it grows from strength. And strength is never found in a necklace or a garment, but in power. The rich man knows this well. When fortune grants him a handful of coins, he does not rush to decorate himself. He does not squander his earnings on pleasures meant to impress the ignorant. Instead, he builds his fortress. He strengthens the foundations of his wealth so that it cannot be shaken. He invests in influence, in networks, in the ability to defend and expand what he has gained. He delays luxury until it is impossible to take it from him. This is why his riches endure while yours disappear like smoke. Ask yourself, what use is a golden chain around your neck if another man holds the chain around your throat? What use is a palace filled with furniture if a single creditor can strip it bare? What use is a fine horse if tomorrow your employer dismisses you and you cannot even afford the saddle? The poor man buys symbols, but the rich man buys security. One spends to appear powerful, the other spends to become powerful. Understand this distinction. In every age, fools have fallen for the glitter of luxury. They chase clothes, trinkets, feasts, and games, hoping these things will grant them dignity. But luxury is a trap, a sweet poison. It weakens your resolve. It drains your coin. It leaves you vulnerable when storms arrive. The rich, when they begin, live modestly. They build the walls first. They dig the well. They secure the soldiers. They acquire the tools that will generate more fortune. Only after they cannot be overthrown do they permit themselves the indulgence of luxury. Think of it as a fortress and a palace. The poor man builds a palace first, a structure for display, beautiful on the outside, fragile within. The rich man builds a fortress first, thick walls, iron gates, loyal guards, flowing rivers of supply. From this fortress, he then constructs his palace, and when it stands, no enemy can topple it. You must learn this principle: the fortress always comes before the palace. When you buy luxury before power, you enslave yourself. You take loans to appear rich. You sacrifice your independence to shine for a moment in the eyes of others. You impress those who cannot help you, and you weaken yourself before those who can exploit you. This is why poverty repeats itself. The poor man's wealth, when it comes, is consumed by his hunger to look rich. But the rich man's wealth, when it comes, is multiplied by his hunger to be untouchable. You may have noticed that the wealthy are often plain in their early years. They wear modest clothes. They eat simple meals. They avoid foolish spending. Not because they are incapable of luxury, but because they are patient. They know that if they plant power today, tomorrow they may reap endless luxuries without risk of losing them. The poor, however, want to enjoy the harvest before they have even planted the seed. It is not wrong to desire beauty, comfort, and pleasure, but to pursue them before securing power is to build on sand. A single wave erases all. Power is the soil in which true wealth grows. Power is ownership, influence, the ability to control not only your money but the circumstances of your life. When power is established, luxury follows naturally. But when luxury is pursued before power, ruin follows swiftly. The man who builds power commands others. The man who buys luxury is commanded by others. This is the eternal divide between those who remain broke and those who rise to dominance. Fortune, my friend, is not a gentle mother. She is wild, unpredictable, and favors those who dare to grasp her by the hair. The poor man trembles at the sight of risk. He fears losing the little he has, so he clings tightly to it like a child holding a handful of crumbs. Yet in his fear, he ensures his place in mediocrity. He waits for safety, he waits for certainty, he waits for the perfect moment to act, and that moment never comes. The rich man, however, understands that fortune is captured in storms, not in clear skies. When others retreat in fear, he advances. When others hesitate, he strikes. And it is in these moments of chaos that great wealth is born. Consider history. Kingdoms have never been won by men who waited for perfect conditions. No prince ever secured a throne by sitting quietly in his chambers. Thrones are taken when boldness overwhelms hesitation. The same is true with wealth. Every fortune you admire, every empire that casts a shadow over lesser men, was built because someone dared when others trembled. Risk is the battlefield of riches. The timid avoid it, the bold exploit it. The poor man says to himself, "I cannot take this risk, for I may lose everything." But what he calls everything is nothing more than scraps, a wage, a roof barely held, a handful of possessions that bring him no lasting security. He fears losing what little chains him, and so he remains bound forever. The rich man sees risk differently. He says, "If I risk, I may lose something small, but if I succeed, I will gain what cannot be taken from me." He weighs his dangers, but he does not flee from them. He knows that without risk, there is no advancement. Understand this: the world belongs to those who dare. Fortune is like a fire. It burns those who approach timidly, but it warms and empowers those who approach with command. When markets collapse, the poor hide in fear, selling what little they have. The rich buy, for they know that in every fall lies an opportunity to rise. When wars and disasters unsettle the land, the poor pray for stability. The rich prepare, seize, acquire, and build foundations that will flourish once peace returns. You may believe risk is dangerous, but have you not seen that safety is an illusion? The poor man clings to his job as if it were secure, yet a single decision by his master can destroy his livelihood. He clings to his savings as if they are eternal, yet inflation devours them silently. He hides from risk, but risk finds him all the same. The rich embrace it willingly, directing it, exploiting it, turning it into advantage. This is why they grow rich while you remain stagnant. There is no wealth without discomfort. There is no greatness without the courage to step where others refuse. Think of the soldier. The one who hides behind the wall may live a little longer, but he gains no honor, no reward, no victory. The one who charges forward risks death, but he may also conquer and command. Wealth is the same. If you retreat from every uncertainty, you have already chosen poverty. It is not recklessness that builds empires, but calculated boldness. The rich man studies, prepares, then dares. He does not leap blindly, but neither does he wait forever. He knows that opportunities are fleeting, and that hesitation is more costly than failure. The poor man waits for permission, for the right time, for a guarantee that does not exist. In his waiting, he loses the very chance that could have changed his fate. The truth is simple, yet harsh. Risk is the price of advancement. Those who pay it grow strong, those who avoid it remain weak, those who dare become masters, those who tremble remain servants. There is no currency more precious than time. Gold can be regained once it is lost. Armies can be rebuilt after defeat, but an hour gone is gone forever. The poor man does not understand this law, and so he squanders his time like a fool squanders his coins. He spends it on distractions, on idle chatter, on pleasures that leave nothing behind but emptiness. He waits, he delays, he procrastinates. His life drips away like water from a cracked vessel, unnoticed until the vessel is dry. And when he finally realizes what he has lost, he is old, powerless, and at the mercy of those who knew how to use their hours wisely. The rich man knows that time is the true measure of power. He does not waste it, he multiplies it. He sees every hour as an investment, every moment as an opportunity to strengthen his dominion. While the poor spend hours amusing themselves, the rich buy hours from others. They delegate, they command, they hire. They build machines and systems that continue working long after they themselves have rested. For this reason, the rich man's day contains more than 24 hours, while the poor man's day contains less than 12. You may believe that both rich and poor are given the same time, but this is a deception. The poor man spends his hours in labor, in errands, in small tasks that drain his strength. He is always busy, yet his business leads him nowhere. The rich man spends his hours differently. He places his effort into creating structures where other people's time works for him. 1 hour of his thinking, 1 hour of his decision-making can create a system that generates value day and night. This is the secret of multiplying time. Observe closely. The poor say, "I do not have enough time." Yet they watch endlessly, gossip endlessly, indulge endlessly in distractions that bring no profit. The rich never utter these words. If they require more time, they acquire it from others. They buy another man's hour with a wage, and while that man labors, they are free to think, to plan, to expand. This is why the poor are exhausted while the rich remain composed. One sells his time, the other collects time from everyone around him. And here lies a cruel truth. Time wasted is not neutral, it is stolen. Every wasted hour is taken by another man who is not wasting his. While you delay, another advances. While you indulge, another is building. While you squander today, another is securing tomorrow. You may not notice the theft immediately, but when you see him standing above you, wealth in his hand and power in his gaze, understand that he has stolen nothing but the hours you carelessly abandoned. The poor man often believes that working harder will rescue him. But working harder without mastering time is like pouring water into a broken jar. More effort, more energy, yet nothing accumulates. The rich do not merely work harder, they work strategically, multiplying the value of their time by removing what is trivial and focusing on what creates growth. They refuse to be slaves to every demand, every distraction, every temptation that calls for their attention. They guard their hours like a fortress guards its gates. If you desire wealth, you must learn to see time as the ultimate weapon. Ask yourself, what is consuming your hours? Who is feeding on your days? Are you wasting your life on tasks that could be done by others? Are you drowning in pleasures that leave you empty? Or are you multiplying time, creating systems that move even when you are still, planting seeds that grow while you rest, surrounding yourself with people whose hours fuel your vision? The poor trade their life for survival. The rich use survival as a foundation and then trade their time only for power. This is why one ages into desperation and the other ages into dominion. The greatest weakness of the poor is their dependence. They cling to a single source of income as though it were a lifeline, never realizing that this lifeline is also a chain. They bow before a master, terrified of losing their job, their wage, their fragile position. Every decision they make, every choice they consider, is haunted by this fear. What if I lose my income? This fear is slavery disguised as stability. It keeps them obedient, compliant, and powerless. The rich man does not build his life upon a single pillar. He knows that one stream of income is a river easily dammed, and when it is blocked, the land it nourished becomes barren. So he builds many streams. He acquires enterprises, investments, properties, ventures, networks, each one another artery through which wealth flows. If one fails, another sustains him. If two collapse, three remain. He is not bound to the mercy of one master, because he has made himself the master of many. Dependency breeds weakness. It forces men to swallow their pride, to accept humiliation, to stay silent when they should speak. How often have you seen a man humiliated by his superior yet unable to resist, because his survival depends on that superior's favor? He knows he is disrespected. He knows he is exploited, yet he submits because he has no alternative. The poor call this loyalty. The rich call it slavery. Independence, however, breeds sovereignty. The rich man who builds multiple foundations of wealth fears no single failure. He can walk away from any man, any contract, any position, because he is never chained to one source of survival. His wealth is not a master, it is a shield. When others attempt to pressure him, he is unmoved, for he does not need them. This independence is not merely financial, it is psychological. It shapes the way he walks, the way he speaks, the way others treat him. Dependence makes a man beg, independence makes a man command. Think of a kingdom. A ruler who relies on a single ally is fragile, for the betrayal of one destroys him. But a ruler with alliances across many lands cannot be broken by one betrayal. So it is with money. The poor man places all trust in one employer, one wage, one fragile system. The rich man distributes his trust across many sources, ensuring that betrayal or disaster cannot topple him. One is always exposed, the other always fortified. The tragedy is that dependence feels safe in the beginning. The poor man believes his job is security. He believes his steady wage is stability. He believes his survival is guaranteed. But when that job is lost, when the company falls, when the master dismisses him, he discovers that his entire life was hanging by a thread. The rich man knows better. He avoids placing his fate in the hands of one thread, for he understands that all threads can break. He weaves a rope of many strands, and this rope he climbs to dominion. Dependency also steals time. The poor man must labor constantly to keep his fragile income alive. He cannot rest, for rest means hunger. He cannot explore greater ventures, for every moment is chained to survival. The rich man, through independence, frees himself. His many streams of wealth give him time to plan, to think, to expand, to act with power instead of desperation. This freedom is why he rises while the poor remain stagnant. And here lies the cruel truth: dependence is comfortable, but it is fatal. It gives the illusion of safety while preparing the stage for collapse. Independence is difficult, but it is eternal. It requires sacrifice, discipline, and the courage to build when others are content to obey. But once achieved, it cannot be taken easily. The man who depends on one is a servant. The man who builds many is a sovereign. The poor man spends his life chasing approval. He desires to be liked, admired, seen as generous, spoken of kindly. He will spend his money to impress others, to look respectable in their eyes, to be welcomed into their circles. He will buy gifts he cannot afford, offer favors he cannot sustain, speak words he does not believe, all in pursuit of that fleeting satisfaction, the smile and applause of men. But applause is worthless without power. Praise is empty when it does not translate into control. The man who seeks approval becomes the servant of those he wishes to impress, for their opinion governs his actions more than his own will. The rich man knows better. He does not seek to be liked, for he understands that popularity is fragile. One rumor, one whisper, one turn of the crowd, and approval vanishes like smoke. Instead, he seeks control. He invests not in pleasing men, but in commanding them. He would rather be feared for his strength than loved for his generosity. For love is fickle, but fear and respect bind men to obedience. This is the great divide. The poor man seeks affection, the rich man seeks authority. Approval enslaves, control liberates. When you live for the opinions of others, your decisions are never your own. You dress, speak, act, and spend not according to what strengthens you, but according to what pleases them. You become a puppet, dancing on strings pulled by the hands of society, of family, of peers who contribute nothing to your rise. You remain broke because your resources are consumed in serving appearances. You remain powerless because you dare not act against the will of those you wish to impress. The rich man is not careless with appearances, but he uses them strategically. He knows that sometimes it is useful to appear kind, to appear generous, to appear approachable. But these are masks he wears, not chains he obeys. His true concern is always control. He will use generosity to bind allies. He will use kindness to disarm rivals. But he never confuses these tools with the goal itself. The goal is influence, leverage, the ability to bend circumstances to his will. While the poor man sacrifices power for approval, the rich man sacrifices approval for power. Think of the ruler. A weak ruler tries to be loved by all, lowering himself to please the people, giving gifts until he is bankrupt, making promises until he is despised for breaking them. A strong ruler demands obedience, and through obedience builds stability. The same law governs wealth. The poor man distributes his gold to gain admiration, leaving himself vulnerable. The rich man gathers his gold to gain command, ensuring that admiration follows naturally, whether genuine or forced. The poor man's generosity is desperate. It is born of fear that he will be rejected, abandoned, mocked. He buys his place in the world with coin, like a beggar buying scraps of dignity. The rich man's generosity is calculated. He gives when giving secures loyalty, when it strengthens his influence, when it multiplies his wealth. If his generosity costs him power, he withholds it without hesitation. This coldness, the poor cannot understand. Yet it is this coldness that protects the rich from ruin. Approval is a drug. It feels intoxicating, but it robs you of strength. Control is discipline. It feels harsh, but it grants you freedom. The poor remain trapped in cycles of approval seeking, chasing respect that never solidifies into authority. The rich rise by rejecting the need for universal admiration, by focusing only on outcomes that increase their dominion. Better to command silently than to be celebrated without substance. The man who seeks approval becomes a tool in the hands of others. The man who seeks control turns others into tools for his purpose. You have now seen why you remain broke while others ascend to wealth. It is not chance, nor luck, nor even greater intelligence that divides you from them. It is principles. You were taught to labor. They were taught to command. You were taught to consume. They were taught to build. You were taught to fear risk. They were taught to exploit it. You were taught to waste hours. They were taught to multiply them. You were taught to depend on one master. They were taught to become masters themselves. And worst of all, you were taught to seek approval, while they were taught to seek control. Poverty is not an accident. It is the reward of weak philosophy. Wealth is not a miracle. It is the result of ruthless discipline. If you continue to live by the illusions that keep men broke, you will die broke. But if you abandon them, if you embrace the principles of command over money, then fortune will bend in your direction. Do not hope for wealth, seize it. Do not beg for power, construct it. Do not seek to be liked, learn to be obeyed. The difference between poverty and riches is not measured in coins. It is measured in the courage to think differently, to act coldly, and to embrace the discipline that others fear.